All right, we are live. This is your brother Gabar, and this is IAMFIT Podcast. We're coming to you live from the Boogie Down Bronx. Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Thank you for allowing me to get into your living room for just a little bit. And I wanted to have a conversation with you, brothers and sisters, today in regard to what's going on out there in the ether. Because it was a video that was sent to me by brother Ricky, and he's going to probably join us in a few. He's getting himself ready, situated. And let me just do this real quick. Let me do this. Let me do this. Okay, so I guess we're good. Okay. So there was a video that was sent to me by brother Ricky. He's going to be joining us in a few minutes. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button because we're going to go right into this. We're not going to do a long-term conversation, but the link is also linked below. You could get it there if you want to come in because I want to hear everybody's conversation. Shalom, sister. Sister Toy, shalom, long time listener and supporter. Shalom, sister. Appreciate you for that thumbs up and shalom. So this video had me thinking, and I am individual that I like to theorize, and I'm a very shalom brother. And peace, brother
Shalom,
Ricky.
brother.
How we doing? Can you? Okay, good. Shalom, brother. Thank you for joining me. So we're going over the video, right? We're going over the video. And brother, I also send the link to brother Darren. If you want it, I send it to you, but also it's a link below in the description. But I wanted to play the video because it had me thinking. Brother Ricky, you sent me this video today, and we were just talking about it, and I felt it was a topic that maybe our audience will also appreciate, right? Because I wanted, this video was disturbing in so many ways, right? In its brutality in regards of the non-necessity of it all. There was nothing that this could have been prevented. This is like almost weird. It's well, I want to. I don't want to, give too much of, but it just had me thinking. And Captain Tazaryach, and let me bring in brother Dwayne. Shalom, brother. How we doing? Peace, brother. How we doing? Your mic is probably off. Maybe attach your mic. Mic check. Just keep working on your. Can you hear me, brother?
Shalom, Elder. Yeah, I can hear you. If you can
okay,
hear me.
great. You're coming in loud and clear. Okay, outstanding.
Yes,
so
sir.
I want to, I had to do some work, but brother Ricky sent me this particular video, and I said, you know what? Let me just come on for a few minutes, and we're gonna let the spirit kind of lead us in regards to this topic today, because there was this video that I saw today that brother Ricky sent, and he was just commenting how all of it's a shame, right? All of it is a bad look for everyone. And before I continue speaking, I want to play the video for the audience. This is Captain Tazaryach, and he is a famous individual that in the YouTube world, I will say he is a captain in the ISUPK. No cowards. For those, that's one of the their one of their slogans. I'm sorry, I caught a brain freeze. And for those that don't know these guys, let me give you a quick rundown. In 1970, 1969, 1972, 1971, give or take, Abba Bibbins was a the founder of the Hebrew Israelite One West School. He was part of the Commandment Keepers. he had a confrontation with some Muslims that got violent, and he got stabbed in the event. He drove himself to the hospital. Passed the baton to Ariyah. Ariyah brought in others with him. Created like the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. They later on split, and there was many splinters. The headquarters dropped the name, the Israeli School of Universal Practical Knowledge. They didn't adapt that name. One of the generals that was in charge of, or the commanders that was in charge of the Philly camp, didn't like that the church changed the name with also the doctrine. There was some doctrine differences, and he kind of took the name because it wasn't no longer being utilized, and he started his version of ISUPK. And Captain Tazaryach is one of his captains. And they're known to be a black supremacist or black hatred group. They believe that the white man is the devil. They believe that God only loves the 12 tribe of Israel, which they believe they are, including others like the blacks and Latinos and the Native Americans and so forth, so and other. But they believe salvation only for them. So I want to play this video because I think this video is important to discuss today, because it got me a little bit disturbed, and for maybe for reasons you guys maybe, and maybe I'm putting something in the table that you guys could pick it up and maybe think about it, and we could maybe hopefully come to more conversations like this to come to some resolution, right? So let me play this video, fair use.
Let me tell you something, man. The white man is diabolical in his wickedness. This 32-year-old white man who has a history of running cars into Republican voting booths decided to shoot a 67-year-old Army veteran, black guy, of course, who the white man is questioning his military status, snatches his military thing off of him, which is why the guy's in the wheelchair coming at him, because the white guy is attacking him. And what does the white man do as he's trying to help himself? Pulls out a pistol, shoots him in the chest, and then says, "It's okay, everybody," as if he was ever in danger. When we say the white man is diabolical with his hatred for black people, it don't get no more than that. That man was able to open his bag, sit there calmly. The other guys in the wheelchair can't do nothing. And he shoots this brother for no reason other than him attacking him. The white man is the devil. Let me tell you something.
Okay. And this is, and for transparency, I used to be with not this ISUPK. I used to be with the original ISUPK with the 7 elders in Harlem in the 90s. I left them in 2000, and I no longer believe in none. I will say not none, but a lot of the views that this group believes in. However, though, this video got me thinking, because obviously we could look at this video, and I want to hear you guys' thoughts. And this is my question to you guys and to the audience, but for you brothers here. I used to say this about, after leaving the Israelite ISUPK, the One West community. And the reason why that term One West, 125th Street, that was the address and where all this information was cultivated. So that address had a special meaning to the group. And the address is no longer there. I think it's a restaurant now. They bulldozed. It's a totally different situation. And when I left that group, this is what I said. These brothers were wrong about hating the white man hating other people because they don't only hate the white man, they hate Africans, the Hamites. They don't like them because they had them in slavery. They don't like, none of the Japhites, all the ites, right? They cannot find salvation, grace, mercy in the eyes of God. They're only good for being slave for Israel. That's it. That's their view. Similar to, and let me be fair here and objective. I probably get another strike for this one. Yeah, they do it in a more sophisticated way. You don't see the rabbis saying, we're going to have you in change and rape your women and all that, blah, blah, blah. But the Talmud says it. The Talmud says that the goyim are animals. They're not human beings. They don't have a soul. Only a Jew has a soul. It's in the Talmud. Right? So it's the same toxic hatred. But this is the difference. I used to say, I disagree with the Hebrew Israelites of One West, their hatred towards the white man, but the white man gives them a lot of ammunition, a lot of meat to might. Because white people, not all, we got the history of slavery, and I understand we have to move on from that. But okay, let's move on for that. But after slavery, it wasn't like after slavery, it was like, kumbaya, my lord, right? It was not all peace. It was not all rainbows and sunshine, right? You had the Jim Crow laws. Look up that book called Slavery by Another Name. They started creating laws. The Mann Act, it was because of Jack Johnson, an African-American. The Trafficking Act, it's because he used to take white women from one state to another state to have, relations. And they made it illegal just because we did it. You can only marry within your race. That law, yes, it got appealed. It got taken out, and you could marry whoever you want. But originally, you could only marry one woman. And the reason why they put marry one woman, because within the slavery population, the so-called African-American population, and the Native American population, you can look this up. There's a book called Polygamy in American History. And it goes into that you had polygamy culture within the indigenous culture, African and indigenous, Native Americans and others. I'm not using these words. We all know these are Israelites, the lost tribes, but we may have an audience that may not be familiar with those particular statements, terms. So, and this is the thing that I don't believe it has happened. It probably has, but clearly there needs to happen some more. The question I have for you, brothers, and you could answer, any one of you guys want to be first. It's up to you guys. It's just, whoever comes up with the first thought. Do you believe that this evil is diabolical? Do you believe that we have to look into this? That was he mentally ill? Was it, let's have some, black people kill themselves too. It's not a big, a death is a death. Or do you believe that this is diabolical evil? I mean, the man is in a wheelchair, for the love of God. I mean, he's no danger. And from my understanding, according to General Captain Tazaryach, is that, after he shot the individuals, he was like, everything's okay now. Like, he was protecting himself and the crowd from this madman on this wheelchair. So there has to, I think, needs to be a conversation, and we're going to be dealing with Captain Tazaryach and the hatred that they are dealing with. But right now, I want to deal with white people because these is a conversation we need to start having. Because where that comes from? Like, I could understand a black guy is coming aggressively. He's drunk, and you a cop. It's dark, right? You're afraid because you didn't grow up in the neighborhood. You don't know the culture. You like, a white guy from Wyoming, and you're now working in the Bronx. I can understand you shooting your gun out of fear because you don't know the culture and you out of your element. I get that. I'm pretty sure if I was a cop in Russia, right, barely understand the language, I have to go in. I have to rush into a Russian mob headquarters. I don't, I heard these guys are, crazy. I'm going to shoot front, right? If you don't know the culture, you're going to be a little more antsy, right? This is saying that a cop growing up in the Bronx or growing up in the neighborhood he's policing, that he's not going to be careful and should be careful. And he also may be antsy, but he may be less antsy because I know this dude. I know the culture. I know the lingo, right? I know how a crackhead looks. I know how you understand what I'm saying? I know how somebody who's strung out looks because I had a cousin that looks that way. I know the culture. I know the slang. It's a level of comfortability when you're dealing with your own to some degree, right? I understand that fear. Or I understand Nick Fuentes. You guys know who Nick Fuentes is? He's a commentary. He's
racist dude.
Yeah, he's a controversial dude, but I don't want to get into. I think Nick Fuentes. I think he's an insert, and he's like one of these guys because his father's Mexican. I don't know, and his mother's Italian. I think, or he's a Mexican Italian or something. I don't know the mixer, but he's mixed with Mexican, Italian, and Irish. I think he said, but he says father is either half or a quarter. I don't know. I gotta figure all that out. But sometimes, but I don't want to get into digesting Nick Fuentes right now. What I want to get into is that he got, many virals. But one of the things that he criticized the black community and saying, listen, black people, you guys have to get together because if black people, motherfucker, let me get the video for you guys. Nick. Fuentes, there we go. Comments on black people. Is this one? There's so many, but I think okay, this is the one. Okay, so let me bring in this one right here. Let me switch it over to. Let me do this, and let me switch it over to this. All right, so this is Nick Fuentes. I think this is the comment because he's very blunt, and I could understand misguided hate. Like, I don't want to. Well, let me play the video, and then I want to comment on it. Fair use.
If black people were super well behaved, we would be racist in the other direction. We'd say black people, oh yes, dude, yes. My day is about to turn around for the better. What can I help you with, sir? Please come right on in. Man, what a relief to see you here. You're a sight for sore eyes.
And there are black people that give off that impression. You know what I'm saying? There are black people where they walk in the building and everybody like, oh my God, I love this. This is my favorite.
So a lot of brothers are commenting on this comment. So I want to just kind of introduce people who Nick Fuentes is to some degree. And he says he's not a racist, but he prefers to marry, or he says that the white race is depopulating, and he wants to marry a white woman or a Caucasian to advance his Caucasian race, and he should not be felt to be racist. He doesn't hate black people. He wants black people to be good and great and blah blah blah. You know, he's friends with Kanye. Kanye kind of went on his platform when he started when he started going into talking about the Jews and the lobbyist Jews and the record industries and all that. So it's a complicated kid. But I wanted to go back to I wanted to bring this situation because I could see somebody looking at the black experience today and saying, I hate black people for that. Like, I don't agree with it, but I could understand the logic behind that. That makes sense, right? If you're brainwashed, it's like the Israeli kids. They get brainwashed early on to be told that the Palestinians are the devils and they're terrorists and they want to kill you and just get rid of them. So by the time they adults, they're like, what you mean? You supporting the Palestinians? They're terrorists. So they've been brainwashed, right? So I can understand where that hatred comes from because hatred really comes from brainwashing, right? It's really it's really prejudging an individual outside of the Word of God, right? But I wanna, and I know I'm babbling here, and I want, I want to hear your comments, and I'm like, well, could you give us the time to give us our comments? But I want to go back to this, brother, here, because I'm understanding why Captain Tazaryach feels the way he feels. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm not condoning. I'm not saying right on. He's right. He's wrong. The white man is not the devil. Yeah, he could act like the devil, but there's a lot of black devils, a lot of brown devils, a lot of devils running around here in all shapes and colors. And yes, from his point of view, he could say, yeah, but the white man is the biggest of all the devils. He's the black belt, super heavyweight champion of the world of devils, right? Okay. Right? I think it's all objective because, I truly believe that the reason why the law in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 24, 23, do not abhor, 23, I think, do not abhor Edomite, no, an Egyptian, for Edomite is your brother and you was a stranger in his land with the Egyptian, is the reason why. And I used to wonder why God point out that law. We didn't have beef with Esau at that time because we were in the wilderness. There was nothing historically at that time of having that, because after Jacob and Esau reconcile in Genesis 36 or 37 or 38, there was really no conflict within the Jews in regards of that. But I don't know. But maybe the book of Joshua could go into some more history on that. But what I do know is that those two nations had us in captivity. And what is the significance? The Egyptians were the first and Edom will be the last. That's the significance. So he put that law there because for us in the future, do not abhor an Edomite. I could understand why he put the law, do not abhor an Egyptian, because we hated the Egyptians at that time. We were just under slavery under them. So I could understand the rationalization of that law. But the law of do not hate Edom is a now because of Captain Tazaryach. But I could sympathize with Captain Tazaryach because this is some diabolical evil. I don't understand the necessity of this. And for my understanding, according to Captain Tazaryach, I'm just reporting what he says, is that this man is known for driving into a Donald Trump campaign headquarters. You guys heard that part, Brother Ricky?
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
So it looks like he was a leftist, right? If he's against Trump, he's probably a Democrat. I'm just guessing here. That sounds like a Democratic type of move. And maybe this brother, the one who is sitting down, he's probably a Trump supporter. I don't know the details. I'm just speculating here. But that sounds like, so therefore, you would think that if he is a Democrat, the Democrats supposed to be the people that are like sympathetic towards blacks and left issues or what they consider social issues, right? So this is confusing all along, but I want to put the political opinions and beliefs and identity aside. What would possess you to kill an handicapped man, right? He's a military veteran. That's all he knows, right? That's his life story. That's his biggest accomplishment. And he's a proud American. And you had a different point of view in regards of, you know, I don't know. This is and what I'm urging white people here, if I have any white supporters or listeners, you guys have to start having a conversation about, what's going on with white people doing stuff like this? Because this is not helping white people. Yeah, we're going to talk about Captain Tazaryach in a few minutes. Right? But we have to have a conversation about what's going on with white people. If I'm overreacting, guys, I don't know. What say you? Anyone? Brother Ricky, what say you?
No, you're not overreacting at all. One of the biggest things that I, agree with you on is that, it's not enough, for there to be so many white people. There's not enough of them who speak up on these issues, or maybe they are, and because we're not really onto their platforms or whatever, we don't hear it, we don't see it. At the same time, I'm not taking up for this mess, because you're gonna shoot a guy because he rolled up on you, But and I agree, but this is my thing though. We forget at times, I guess, that what we're going through is spiritual first before it's physical. And therefore, Satan does things to poke and prone to cause confusion on purpose. He's the author of confusion. So here it is, because for all we know, that man go to jail, right? Because he's not gonna get away with that. You're not gonna get away with shooting a dude who's in a wheelchair. You're not. You know how many white people in jail, that doggone who will poke them up, who will take that shank and give it to them way much quicker than a black person would? So How can we, we can't sit up here and just act as if, just white people like this and like that, when they operate a little different than we do, than black folks. And that's just what it is. Again, I am no way taking up for white people. I'm not taking up for this mess that happened right here. It ain't right. At the same time, we got to learn, number one, get out your emotions. Because I'm going to tell you what my uncles told me. Because I got, military family members, quite a few of them. And ones who was in Vietnam War said it. A black man got no business in the white man army. And here it is, you was an ex-vet, or you were a vet, and you got offended because a white man said something that offended you as far as your military prowess or whatever. You knew you was in a wheelchair. Why you rolling up on somebody for? Just like when we talk about women, you can't whoop no man. Get out your delusion. Just like I remember back in the day, grandma used to say, a woman's place is not in a man's face. But you rolling up on his food talking about something, you'll whoop his butt. But then when he pick you up and slam you on your head, oh man, you a man, you shouldn't do this to me. You in a wheelchair, sit your behind down, chill out.
Yeah. But
I'm seeing it on both sides.
Yeah. And brother Darren, you want to come in and comment I don't know if he stepped out or he still here, but I think I see him. But he'll be right back. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm noticing? That there is a thing that white people are doing that, and like I said, I don't want this to become a race baiting show. Like, what's wrong with white people? But we need to have a show of like, yo, what's wrong with white people? Because I think white people don't like to have these conversations. They're not comfortable about having these conversations. And if you want to change perception and you know, Nick Fuentes, he said, you know, why black people are always angry and rude and cruel, maybe because of stuff like this. Right? Maybe black people walk around with a chip in their shoulder. Not all. But I'm just, you know, I'm not excusing it, you know, or yes, you know, he was right. You know, sometimes it's hard to hear the truth from, you know, I know Nick Fuentes, you know, Italian, Irish, and Mexican, right? But so I want to represent all his ethnic background. But sometimes, you know, it's hard. It's like you could talk about my people, but you can't talk about my people, right? I could talk about my people, you can't talk about my people, and I get that. It stings a little bit. And yes, a lot of the stuff that he talks about, I agree with. But you know, I think white people don't the same, and this is going back, I believe this spirit may be working with me in regards of that, you know, maybe we have to also have to understand that Israel, Jacob, right, which we believe we are, the blacks and Latino, Native American, indigenous people, North Central America, scattered to the four corners in the world, right? Many people in the slums, right? You know what? You want to know what Israel? Start looking in the ghetto, look in the slums. In any country you're looking there, most likely you're going to find them. Maybe there's a conversation that white people need to have that black people have influence, right? They got like if a black man put his hand backwards, all people start doing, you know, and even, you know, black people, they're talented and they, you know, they're Israel. They got the blessing of the Most High God, right? So they and from art, from science, and despite slavery and prejudice and all this discrimination and this hardship and the curses and all of that, they have prevailed and they still have the power of influence. White people have their power, right? So now we know black people's power, or Jacob's power, Israel's power, right? Edom's power. First, he's a hunter. I think and I think white people, what they're good at is gathering information. They are the best historians. Tell me somebody else. They're good. And I think the reason why they like knowledge and wisdom, because the prophecy of Esau, what? He will be a cunning hunter, right? He that's his MO. So hunting, you have to be what? Be patient. You have to gather information. You have to find out when the animal eats, when he sleeps, where he sleeps, how, when, you understand? You got to have data. So I think part of the hunter mentality, that's the reason why, even going back to Alexander the Great, that's what he wanted. He wanted knowledge. That's why he created what? The Alexandria Library. Is that his name after his name? So I think they have that. But another power that they have this power that things do not, or at least here in the West, things do not become important until they give it importance. They have that power, right? If they ignore it, it gets ignored. Right? They kind of have that power to just ignore things and not make it mainstream. And because a white man is not saying it, maybe it's not true. Right? They have the power of the benefit of the doubt. Right? It's crumbling a little bit, but they still have it. And I'm saying that to say this. You know how women are women are sometimes not aware of the fact that their power is in their playing the victim, right? Playing the manipulation of you hurt me, whether it be my feelings or whether it be physical, right? A woman will taunt you, right? A young lady who, an Olympic runner, right? She had an incident. What's her name?
Sha'Carri Richardson.
Sha'Carri Richardson, right? I think she's got arrested because I think she was, having a fight with her boyfriend or argument,
Christian.
Christian, and I think she was pushing him or something, and physically assaulting him, and then the police came and said, "Hey, we saw in the mirror that hey, you and the cameras, excuse me, you hit him, sir. Do you want to press charges?" And the boyfriend said, "Yeah," and that was his right, and what people need to also understand, this is what also women need to understand, right? Because in the 90s and the early 80s, she would never have been arrested. 10 years ago, it's shifting a little bit because I think, sometimes law enforcement takes time. It takes law enforcement some time to catch up to the tricks of the citizens, of the normal population. So now maybe they're changing some tides with that. I don't know, right? And for reasons that Captain Tazaryach is mentioning, right, diabolical. If things would have happened different, if it was a white couple, I don't know. I have seen white women get arrested in college. There was a lady who got arrested because she pushed somebody and with a sign or something, and she was like, "What you mean?" Like she was, and that feeling that when women gets arrested is like, I've been doing this all my life. I've been scratching my boyfriend's car. I've been burning his clothes. I've been slapping him. I always got away with it. It's like that entitlement, right? I'm a woman. What you mean I'm getting arrested? Like, the young lady, that's what she was saying. It's like, you arresting me? Like, what? We was having she came fathom because she probably does that all the time with him. That makes sense? It's like comfortable. And that's the reason why when I was, when I was raising my daughter, and father, this is a tip that you should take. I'm going to give it to you for free. If your little girl, who is cute and beautiful, gets upset, and when she gets a little upset, she likes to hit. Always hit her hand and say, no. Teach her young. Because if you spoil your kid, so every single time she gets angry, she strikes. It becomes second nature. And, and it's one thing if the woman is feminine, it's not toxic or whatever. And then, you haven't been in high school and your girlfriend's mad at you and then she hits you on your shoulder because you did something that she didn't like, right? And it's cute, it's harmless, right? But it's always like, girls do that, right? She's dating a big linebacker football player and, and she's hitting, it doesn't hurt him. He's just laughing, right? And it's cute, right? But to her, it's second nature. That's how she expressed herself. But you have some dudes that don't like to be hit. Like, it doesn't really hurt. It's annoying. You're not going to kill me. I don't want you to hit me. I don't want you to put your hands on me, right? Some dudes don't like that, right? And sometimes certain women don't understand that. They think, I'm not hurting you really. Let me just hit you, right? So I wanted to kind of break away that pattern. I think this is what this young lady got caught up with, that she was just so used to just every time she's frustrated, she just launch out, just hit and just push and shove, and that's assault. Technically, it's like jaywalking. You know, people do it all the time. But technically, it's illegal. You're not supposed to cross between the street. You got to cross in the stop sign, in the corner, right? Right. So, and the reason why cops don't give you a ticket because it's a courtesy. It's technically illegal, right? It's like you haven't seen somebody get a ticket for jaywalking. They're like, what? And it's like I do this all the time, right? So, what do you guys think? Do you think that I'm overreacting? That white people have to start looking into these type of things? And yes, Captain Tazaryach, no, brother, the white man is not the devil. Yes, he's the brother Esau, and every nation, according to the word of God, according to Christ, according to the commandments of God. I know you guys focus on the law. In the law, it says you cannot vex the stranger. You must love the stranger, for you know the heart of a stranger. If a stranger seeks the Lord, you cannot refuse him, brother. That's the reason why you were created. The reason why Israel is here is to be a light to the Gentiles. Not to be fixated about every single white man that does every single evil thing. And yes, white people, you got to address these things because you're giving. I would love, Brother Tazaryach, he's a smart guy. I think he's intelligent. I'm hoping that he's able to kind of find some independence. And he could think for himself and get away from this hate-mongering, lunatic doctrinal belief that is going to lead us to nowhere. And find Christ and find peace, and you could still talk truth to power. But what we're experiencing with Captain Tazaryach, and this is to all white people that are listening to me. This is what Captain Tazaryach is dealing with. He's dealing with and I know white people don't want to admit this or may disagree with me, but you created Captain Tazaryach. Racist white people created racist policies, the racist history created General or Captain Tazaryach. Because, and let's just say white people that come here to the United States, and there were black people already here, they're Native Americans, indigenous people, and they said they would all just, get along and develop a country and the government and treaties. And it's not like the United States government didn't have peace treaty with the native population. Just the America, broke them. Like 200 of them. So what white people need to understand is that this white guy who was out of his mind. I don't want to say out of his mind because calling him crazy is not good enough. It's not a word that to describe him. This delusional white man to think is justifiable. That in his world, in his purview, he feels that he did nothing wrong. And what he needs to focus on, the white man who shot this brother, is let's stop ignoring the reasons why you hate black people. No, it wasn't because you was afraid. It wasn't because he was a threat. It wasn't none of that. That's the excuse you gave. And I mentioned earlier the whole thing with women is because now the same way white people are using, not all, but white people are using the afraid card. You know, I'm a afraid white man. I was afraid for my life in the same way a woman will use that, right? He didn't make me feel comfortable. White people have women privilege in regards of that. They could just, every time they're in an altercation, well, why you shot him, sir? I was afraid for my life. And because black people are sometimes extra emotional, charismatic in their expression, the world sometimes view that as dangerous and you know, a danger. Right? And who does not want to get rid of danger? And someone dangerous. So white people have to start peeling the layers on, dude, it wasn't that you was afraid. That's not the reason. What are the racial hatred that you have? What is the issue that because, you know, it's like one of those things. You know, people when they are real, when they're either rich, drunk, or angry. Right?
Right.
You know a brother for like 10, 20 years. You have your first argument and you calling him all, you fat, short, tall, ugly, right? Big nose, big ear, right? Like, wait a minute, what? I didn't know you thought about me. I thought you said I was handsome. What's going on, right? All the truth comes out, right? When you're angry, or when you're drunk, or when you're rich, right? And the white people have to start having this conversation about this untreated hatred that they have for their brother, Jacob. And maybe white people have to start considering, maybe I am Esau. Now listen, Esau could be saved if they come to Christ. Job, and I get a lot of pushback from the Israelite community, was an Edomite, a righteous Edomite, but an Edomite is the same. I got the receipts for that.
Yep, me too.
So I'm objective with this. So white people, maybe, you know, and what I'm saying is, maybe the Most High God is using these type of conflict because the white and black conflict is like a global discussion. Like everybody knows that conflict, right? It's like global. And maybe it's a Jacob and Esau thing. It's the two brothers fighting in the womb thing. And I think black and white people have a love-hate relationship with each other. That they have to have a conversation. Because but I think the responsibility should be as equal to the white community. Black people got to come to the table, but white people have to admit that there needs to be a meeting about these conversations. And what white people have to start doing, they have to start hearing what black people say about them and don't get offended. Don't start defending. Don't start, you know, and there needs to be also the right leaders or representative of the black community to express and articulate the frustration there is in regard to these type of things. And we don't know the whole story. Right. And we just take it from Captain Tazaryach, and I have talking to him in the past, and we are mad, and when we was doing the Kevin on trial and and things of that nature and so for so on. And I think he's a good brother. I think he's wrong on doctrine, and I believe he's sincere. And I think Captain Tazaryach, he's one of these brothers that he's the poster child on the brilliancy of the formula called the Hebrew Israelite or the One West ideology. You take a young Black and Hispanic or Hispanic male, Native American male, who is already disenfranchised with the white community, right? And feed them with more ammunition to hate them, with no balance in regards of it. I'm not excusing what's going on. And I'm not saying that every white person is evil and bad. And I would say the majority are good. The only problem is that they are not getting rid of the bad. And the percentage we could debate. Is it 20%? Is it 30? Is it 10? Is it 5? Is it 15? Is it 7? I don't know that. But there needs to be a conversation about rooting out the bad apples. And because I'm pretty sure somebody in these I'm pretty sure after this show ends, we're gonna end in a few minutes. And Brother Ricky, thanks for joining me. That somebody's gonna write some statistics, and please, if I'm wrong about anything, I want feedback. More Black people kill Black people than white people kill Black people. We're gonna hear that, right? We're gonna hear we get angry when a white man kills a Black man, but no one is talking about how many Black deaths in Chicago and Detroit and all these urban cities, right? Black on Black crime, Hispanic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, and I also got to be fair here and say that Captain Tazaryach is not helping in the race relations. Because we say, every 5 seconds coming up with a video like this, right? Because I'm pretty sure this is like his 12th video he did this week, right, about this, right? And he's probably looking for stuff, but he could find stuff because white people, he could find crazy stuff like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be also fair that sometimes media or social media guides our thoughts, algorithm, what we constantly see, and it could fry our brain to make us think one way or the other, right? But white people still have to have a meeting, have a conversation, say, hey, what's going on? We need to just acknowledge it, that the perception exists, right? Because perception is sometimes as strong as reality. What you perceive to be true is true. That's a perception, right? And yes, there needs to be, they could probably be a backstory. It could be mental illness. We have to also take that into consideration, right? I mean, according to Tazaryach, the guy ran into President Trump, so there's probably some mental issue there, right? That it could have been anybody, Black, Chinese, Puerto Rican, whatever, right? So we have to, I want to be fair in every aspect, right? But maybe our beloved brother Esau, if those that believe he's Esau, because some people believe he's Japhet or not Esau, okay, I'm not, but clearly for those that believe that, and maybe there is now conversation needs to be had because we racial issues. And yes, there's been racial issues between whites and Mexicans and whites and Hispanics and whites and, other Native Americans and right. So I don't want to leave them out too, but, and I think that happens by deliverance. This is my theory, is that they don't promote Native American or Latino historical things that is associated with Black people, like slavery, lynching. Native Americans got lynched too. Mexicans got lynched too. I got that receipts too, right? Indigenous people, you get what I'm saying? But they don't like to promote. Exactly. So it's I don't want to separate or dismiss their struggles and history and things of that nature. But for better or worse, the Black and white, right? The racial issue, like the face of racial conflict is a white man and a Black man, right? Angry at each other, complaining about each other, right? And by now let me ask you guys a question. If you see a black man and a white man arguing, but you cannot hear what they're saying, you don't know what they're saying, and then you will have to, by their body language and what they're talking about, what do you think they're going to be talking about? What they're arguing about? And it's a long argument. I mean, they've been going back and forth for like 45 minutes to an hour now. What will you think? And all you know is there's a black man and a white man arguing about racial issue. What do you think what the white man's going to be saying? What do you think the black man's going to be saying in that argument? You cannot hear, but all you know is two guys, one black, one white, arguing about racial issue. What do you think is going to be the talking points of the black man, and what do you think is going to be the talking point of the white man? What say you?
Ooh, that's a deep one. I'm gonna jump in on this one. I think the argument from the white guy side is probably going to be that black people need to get over slavery. Talking points are going to be black people need to essentially stop making excuses and pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. That's going to be a talking point. Stop acting ghetto and hood and like thugs and pimps and whores. Those are going to be talking points. And blaming them for all of their shortcomings in their entire situation. I think those are going to be the talking points from the white guy side.
Okay. What about the black guy side?
The black guy side kind of almost in the reverse of that they've never made right by us from slavery. That they have either knowingly or unknowingly participated in the systematic racism that we have melanated people, whether you Hispanic, black, or whatever be the case, that they have knowingly or unknowingly participated in it and benefited from it themselves, that have given them a couple steps up from the black race. The black guy probably his talking points would maybe kind of more so go into police brutality, things like that. White cops killing black guys, right. Racial profiling, prejudices, preconceived notions about a people that you really don't know anything about because you didn't give them the opportunity. And black guy maybe go ahead.
Right. So, and Brother Ricky, anything else Brother Duran left out that you want that maybe is key? Or anything you want to add?
I believe I add the fact that, the white man gonna be like, y'all talk about us, they talk about them, but then y'all always killing each other and y'all don't talk about that more. And then the black man gonna be like, well, the thing is, y'all have control of all the media. So y'all put us on Front Street all the time as if it's always us when it's not. That's really not the case.
Right.
And they'll be what I add to
it. And these are, I'm pretty sure we will line up 100 brothers, 100 white men, and they will probably give us the same kind of answer. Well, maybe they're talking about this, right? And maybe, and then, I'm pretty sure the white guy would take that opportunity to maybe throw in some issues he had with black people. Or maybe he's, maybe a black guy was, turning on the radio loud. And he said, well, maybe he was arguing about black people in the radio. Maybe that's what he was arguing. I'm not saying that I have a problem with it, right? Maybe they'll start throwing their racial issue in the black guy. Like, well, maybe, they're arguing about, their a father looking at the son, the white girlfriend, the daughter's boyfriend sideways because he's black. Maybe they're arguing about that. They'll bring in their own prejudice, right? But it almost like if you see a Mexican and a Puerto Rican arguing, you probably, I don't know, tortillas and rice, I don't know, right? Baseball, right? If you see two Arabic, people arguing, and you don't know, you're gonna try to figure out maybe they're arguing about some family issues, business issue, money issues, right? And culturally, you're gonna try to grab to why would a Mexican argue with a Puerto Rican, right? You try to grab social experiences that you have seen, colloquial experiences you have seen with both groups to try to figure it out. But with black and white guy, a black and a white man, almost for 100%, it ain't gonna be baseball. It ain't gonna be the best movie. It's gonna be racial issues.
Yeah.
So they're like the black and the white are kind of like the poster child of racial conflict. The yin and the yang, this right. Oil and vinegar.
The checkerboard.
It's almost like the face of racial issues, and that is even President Putin, when he was interviewed by Tucker Carlson and other areas and other times, he comments about how Black Americans get treated in America and that those racial issues, and they should fix that. And Hitler commented about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's maybe it's time to maybe consider that this is a struggle between Jacob and Esau. That is much more than just racial. It is spiritual. That white people don't even really know why they don't like black people. They say, yeah, it's did the no, but because there was a time there was Jordan, what's his name? The brother that did Creed. What's his name? The brother who did Creed.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan. He Kugler. Michael Kugler, or what's his name? Kugler, the brother who did Ryan Coogler. Brilliant brother. Did you guys saw the Sinners?
I didn't see it
yet. It's a good movie. I want you guys to see it. Let me know what you guys think. A lot of
I was treading lightly on that one at first.
Yeah, see it. It's good.
Okay,
it's very well done. And the reason why I'm proud of Kugler, the brother, is because this is original piece. He wrote it, produced it, right? And he worked out a deal, which is almost like unheard of, but it should be the norm. But it's like showing Ryan Coogler's power, that the money, because the way it works is that if a movie, I think this movie was, I believe, 200,000 to make. I believe, I could be wrong. But let's say it was 200,000. The company, the movie studios have to first make that money back. And then after they make that money back, the 200 million, suppose, whatever that, I know Brother Durant is probably looking, then he'll start making money. Or they'll start, some profit. He said, nah, we ain't doing all that. I'm gonna start making profit from the beginning. So the movie studio is taking a big risk, because if it doesn't do as well as it's supposed to, right? And let's just say it only made 300 million, but the cost was $200 million, and sometimes the $200 million is even much more because you got to go, promotion. There's more money in that, and there's a lot of other extra things of that nature. He did a real sweetheart deal, and I'm using him as an example, because he did his first movie that he got really famous was a movie on a brother who got shot in the subway by a police officer. What's the name of that movie? Ryan Coogler movie. I think it was called Subway. Here we go. Fruitvale Station. That's it. That's the one. And when you look at the story, the police officer had him knee to chest. He was on the floor. Obviously, he was, upset, confused. Hey, why you arresting me? What's going on? Be still. Calm down. And the cop shot him in the head. I think it was a female officer. I could be wrong, or a male, but what I do remember that stuck with me is that the police officer in the trial said, I don't know why I shot him. They couldn't, they didn't have, it wasn't like, were you afraid? No, we had him. And yeah, we were arguing, but I want him to calm down, but why I don't know. And maybe the reason, like the problem, because sometimes, yes, black people, the way I feel the issue between black people and white people is that, according to white people, black people cannot do anything wrong. Anything right. And according to black people, white people cannot do anything right. It's like, you get what I'm saying? And even let's just say if everything works out in America, then yada, 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 they're going to still find some antagonistic thing to argue about, because maybe that Jacob and Esau conversation needs to be had. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm just throwing that in the table. I don't know. Maybe I'm a crazy person. Maybe it's a spiritual conversation that maybe they have to acknowledge. It's like, what was that movie with Will Smith, that he was like a superhero, and he was
Hitch.
Not Hitch. It was Hancock. He was Hancock. And I don't know if you guys saw this. I'm a big movie buff, so I don't know if you guys are, but
me too.
There was his female version, which was played by, I forgot the actress name. But it'll come back to
Fast and the Furious.
Yeah, she's been around for a while, but a great actress, what have you. But she was the female version of him, and they were like connected to each other, and they did not know why they were connected. And once they found out they were both like superhuman, then they got it. And what happened is that although the universe, or what they find out about each other, that although they are attracted to one another in a biological way, like it's like an addictive thing. It's like it's biological. They have to resist that, because if they come together, they could destroy the world. That's the premise of the movie, basically.
Right.
So they fought, but they realized that they either, and they said that either they could love each other, because this woman was married with the guy's manager, or Hancock's kind of like manager, wanted to manage him, but lo and behold, the guy, he was married to a woman who was also in Hancock type of individual, that they didn't understand what's going on, like the attraction. It was like it was no more than physical, because then they realized that the attraction could also turn to hate. Like they're either gonna love each other to extreme or hate each other to extreme. And maybe that's what's going on with Jacob and Esau. Like they like, I don't know why I don't like you. What was, because it is a struggle for supremacy. I think it is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then once you understand that, right? Because you kind of see that. Like if you see a room with a white person and a white crowd or a black crowd, where the night is gonna go. That makes sense? It's like, who's gonna lead the night? What culture is gonna lead it? White culture or black culture? Are we gonna listen to hip hop that night? And these are white people that like hip hop? Or we're gonna listen to, country music or conservative or not conservative, alternative music. That makes sense. It's like, like when white people are comfortable around black people, it's because white people have adopted black culture. When black people are comfortable around white people, it's because they're comfortable around white culture or they grew up in white culture. But is there any time there's been a place where black culture, a black man representing black culture, and I'm not talking about even ghetto culture, right? And a white man representing white culture, right? Coexisting. One of them have to conform to the one other culture. That makes sense. That's how I see it. And maybe it's like the Hancock movie that they have to it's probably best for us to separate. Now, as a Christian, I'm speaking blasphemous, right? Racial, people could take this clip and say Gabar is a separatist. He wants everybody to, white people and black people to, don't cohabitate.
It's interesting that you bring this up, Elder. It was maybe today or yesterday. I saw a video and I just tried to find it really quickly. They were interviewing this white lady and she said that if America was all white, the country will be boring. And I'm paraphrasing because it was a real quick clip that I saw. And she was basically saying how white America actually needs black Americans to have that salt of the earth or flavor in the country, because without us, they will be boring. So to your point, I have personally witnessed that in social gatherings, Jacob, Esau, black and white, they can, for a glimpse, get along and have a good time. And one party is saying, oh man, you're not that bad. And the other party is saying, oh man, you're not that bad. And you're dancing, you're drinking, you just having a good time. So you can see them come together and actually be brothers. But to your point, I think we have been socialized to be at odds through, like you said, growing up on either side. But
is it okay for us to say that culturally maybe there's a difference that we have to acknowledge? As an Afro-Latino male, I love my white brothers, but sometimes I don't like to be around too much white people.
Agreed.
I don't like to be around white people that are isolated from other racial groups. They're like in small towns. It's not that I don't like them. I'm suspicious of them. And you know what I don't like also, like, I love my brothers, but white people just feel, and this is about the culture, because I think it's not a big gun, it's little stabs, little cuts, makes, that antagonize each other. So if we could have a conversation, right, and I want white brothers to come in and say, what ticks you up with black people? So maybe we could learn from each other, right? And
it's probably the same stuff that tick each other off.
But what I'm saying is, it may be socially acceptable in our culture, but in their culture may not be, right? Like, for instance, this is why I don't like certain white people that do this all the time. They are comfortable coming into your space without asking permission. Like, there's been scenario of white people coming into my space, like, when I was lived in Pennsylvania, is like, hey, what you guys doing here? like in a way, like tell me because I act like expecting an answer. Not even like introducing themselves. Not even, hey, what you doing here? And you know, and not in a racial in a bad way, because I don't fit the profile, right? I'm a 53 Dominican man. I don't fit the profile that they look for to say he's suspicious. It's more like I don't understand why you're here. You are not fitting the box. I don't think you're doing anything wrong. I just want to know why you're here. And
like
I
God
think
complex.
Or going back to Esau is a cunning hunter, he likes information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, you know, who came up with the idea of like welcoming committee in the community? Dun, 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 hi, giving you some pies. We came. So what do? You know, it's probably part of their you know, their culture that they do that, right? And they feel like they don't have to say, wait a minute, is it proper for me to go to this guy's house at 10 o'clock in the night and ring the bell or is it just walking in the backyard and
they like that. Like they overshare and they have the mindset of they want you to share just as much as they're sharing.
Right.
Kind of like that. They don't do it like in an intrusive way. They want to give you all the information and they be like, well, tell me what's all your information.
Right. It's like it's and like I said, it's not like I'm using the word hate. I don't, you know, when I'm saying I don't like this, it's like me talking about, because it's like we all families, right? Jacob, Esau, they are brothers, right? Mm-hmm. Ishmael, they are cousins. I mean, we're really a big family if you really think about it. We just grow to 8 billion people. That's all. We go back to the biblical writings, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Mm-hmm. Right? The different sons arguing, debating. I don't like, you know, it's like you talking to your brother. You know what I don't like about, right? So, and I'm not saying that my perception, right? Because everything is perception, right? Should not be challenged or maybe maybe a white person could give me information that I may not have and why they do this and that and the other, right? Maybe more conversation about this can open the door of better understanding one another, but also understanding our prejudice. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, you know, we have to talk about those things too, those uncomfortable things, right? It's like it's like a relationship. In the beginning, it's a honeymoon stage, right? There's nothing wrong, right? What you want to do, whatever you want to do. What you want to eat, whatever you want to eat, right? It's la la la. But after a while, you get into an argument, or time pass. Then you got to keep it real. Okay, who's gonna pay the rent? Who's gonna cook? Who's gonna clean? Who's, you know, when you're gonna pop that pimple in back in your, well, what pimple? I thought I was beautiful, and gorgeous, and perfect, right? So after we get into, you know, the real deal, right? So what I'm saying is that, you know, this video angered me for so many reasons, and all the reasons that we displayed today. That there needs to be more conversation about racial relationships and what triggered Black people. And I know white people are like, no, not all white people are like that, and yada yada yada. Yes, I'm not. We know that already. Mm-hmm. But how can we help relations? And like I said, it could be a mental issue. I don't know. More information will come up. Eventually, it will give us a better insight. And it could have been he just went crazy because he's crazy. It could have been everybody, right? Mental. I mean, look at the guy who did the shooting in New York. And I gotta say, you know, it's a shame that he killed a police officer. I think he killed a CEO of a company and a few other people before he killed himself. And I know there's like a lot of conspiracy theory about that. However, though, and I do security in the weekends, and I'm being transferred somewhere else. I'm going to be doing some security overnight and dealing with a mall and I'm going to be doing some patrolling and supervising. But so I could tell you that I at one point ran a security company. I had my own security company, specifically dealing with bouncing and club ownership and club bouncing, things of that nature. So I could comment on this, that, dropping the ball is a phrase we used to say. You drop the ball, right? It's when you allow somebody to be in the club, they're not supposed to, you drop the ball. You have to be alert all the time. Mm-hmm. And for a guy with a assault rifle, walking in New York, he got out of his car, double park, walked into in New York, walked into a building that has glass, like you could see out, you could see in, and being in a situation that the police officer didn't catch that, he must have been ahead of his phone. He must have been watching something. You understand what I'm saying? That police officer, and he paid with his life, unfortunately, dropped the ball. There should have been at least a gun exchange in the lobby with the police officer in this. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, that's a major dropping the ball. Right. Mm-hmm. And it's just amazing, what's going on in America today. That's why, brothers, man, especially if you have family or you're looking to start a family or you're single, protect yourself. Be hard to kill. Be hard to kill.
I think we got to start doing that, Elder, as far as, because if you realize every time when white people do stuff, there's always this, it was a one-off and it's mental illness. But then when it's black people doing stuff, it's, that's just black folks. They just angry all the time, and they're not good people.
Well, it's like what? It's almost as if like Jim Crow, slavery, prejudice, lynching, all that, drug epidemic, the mob. The Italian mob in the 60s saying, hey, where are we gonna sell the drugs to? Oh, they sell it to the niggas. Okay. Right? This is history. Right? Yeah. The CIA was funding drugs in black community. Right? And the black experience, and this is the problem that white people are ignoring. You cannot ignore all those facts and histories and trauma. The way we fix this problem with black people is just in a basic scenario. And I don't think I have all the answers, but I think we have to work on shifting or giving black people hope. Giving fundamental or what they call fundamental African Americans or descendants of slaves hope, because I think that's what, when a young black youth who is angry, the first thing he said, I don't give a F. I don't care. They got nothing to lose because they have nothing. They have no hope. So I think hope isn't. Now, how do we do that? I think we have to get the best mind, the greatest minds involved. I think entertainment is important. I think it should be illegal, and I will support this law. Any record company producing album, it should be a crime, illegal. We will shut down that company, that record label, that will sign artists that are engaging and promoting and criminal activities, gang activities, right? Because they're going into, every rapper is a crip, a crip or what's the other, Bloods, right? Mm-hmm. He's repping some crew. That is toxic to our black community.
Absolutely.
Right. So it should be illegal, and there should be incentive, tax breaks. If you can produce an album or an artist, make him popular or her popular and promoting positively. There should be someone, it's everything, because we're living in a what? Capitalist society. Follow the money. So if we use money for good, right? Because we know that the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, we cannot use the love of money for the root of all good. And we know how to shift it. Right? But it's going to take some time. It's going to take some brave men to stand up and shift this. And I truly believe, man, that the truth is going to be spread as much, or maybe we have to look at it from a more perspective through spreading the truth through starting families and teaching your children and having your children teaching their children and creating your own tribe. Because they have done statistics that Islam is growing. And the reason why Islam is growing, and the number one reason why Islam is growing, is because there's more Islamic kids being born. Muslims are having more kids than Christians. Right? Atheists are having less kids than Christians. And Christians are having less kids than Muslims. So sometimes you could spread a race, right? And yeah, there'll be some converts here and there, people converting, right? But if an average Muslim has 3.5 kids versus an average Christian family has 1.5 kids, which religion is going to think is going to spread more, right?
Right. So
maybe we have to start thinking, men going God's way, that's also a way for us to grow, right? Hey, brother, I have a daughter. You have a son. Let's work together to continue to teach them, right? Like the Shaolin Temple, right? They should teach the monks, and then the monks should go and spread the. It's the same thing, right? But maybe we could also remember that we have better control, and we could grow our belief by growing our family, our tribe, and think about that way, right? Because I think sometimes, and I'm not saying we should not evangelize and convert people too. That's important, but why did the Israelite caught the Greeks and Romans, the Idumeans, writing their image or painting their likeness in our records? We all read that scripture in the Apocrypha, correct? You guys are all familiar with it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Why do you think the Romans did that? What was the purpose?
The same reason.
What audience were they looking to target when they were doing that?
Our people. I mean, it's the same exact reason that when we was in Babylon,
why do people change books? Why do people books? Because remember, what's the rationale? Putting their image in our books. They were preparing then at that time because all the contemporary Jews knew they were black. And that's evidence, right? Because if the white Jews were the Jews and the white Romans were white, well, how can you tell them apart, right? Maybe we could argue with clothing or whatever, but we could clearly see, and they did that with the Egyptians, the Ptolemy era. They started marrying into the Pharaoh family and wiped them off. King Herod did the same thing, right? So why did they did that? They did that for their children's children. They were planning because all the Jews knew that they were people of color, but years later, right? And part of the reason why the Maccabees had to stand up and fight against these Roman dogs, these demons, because they were about to get wiped out. If the Maccabean families would not have raised up, they would have been wiped out. So why were they planning and putting their face in our records? They were looking to do what? Genocide us, replace us, and act now they were always the Jews. What are you talking about? We look at our records. Look at this ancient scroll of the Maccabee family. Look how Rabbi saw. You get what I'm saying? So they were preparing for the future, not the present. Because everybody knows the Jews were black. Because everybody knows that. So when they do that, they were looking to not only deceive the next generation, but wipe us out. So then there is no one else that will replacing us. They're doing what the white right is shouting in the streets. You will not replace us. Right? So we need to have a conversation about the resentment that black people need to acknowledge that they have towards white, and some of them are very clear. I mean, Umar Johnson, every 5 minutes, he I'm pretty sure Umar Johnson got 5 videos commenting about this white, this brother.
Yeah.
Right. He probably has, 3-part series, right? And these guys are not helping the cause either, because they're just race baiting, and white people can do nothing wrong. I mean, nothing right. And there's it's just, your separation from white and black, and maybe that could probably be the answer. I don't know. Maybe, going back to the spiritual of Jacob and Esau, and going using the comparison of Hancock with Will Smith in the movie, and the other woman, and they were connected. They agreed to be separated because together they're too toxic. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying, I'm just throwing things on the table. If there's any white person, black person, other that disagree, let's have a conversation. How can we fix these racial issues, and so forth, so on, right? Because we could throw in Christ. Yes, he's the final way to make peace, reconciliation, forgiveness. His story, it just oozes and promotes forgiveness, because he died for our sins, and there's no other better examples to live by, right? But we have to have these conversations, because sometimes I think pastors focus too much on the spiritual words. Oh Christ, oh Heavenly Father, we want to, it's about love. We have to just love each other. That's good. But sometimes, we need strategy. How can we achieve that? And I think having these conversations, these uncomfortable conversations. Yeah, brother, Durant, what you want to say?
No, you're right, Elder Gabar. It's so funny that you bring this up. This past weekend, I was out and about, and I had some pizza from a little spot called AM Pizza. And these 3 white guys were kind of walking past me. We were passing each other. And one white guy said, "Hey, man, can I have a slice of your pizza?" So it made me laugh that he asked that. He was joking, but he was serious at the same time. And I said, "Yeah, man, go ahead. Have some pizza." I was down to maybe the last 3 or 4 slices.
Right.
And he was kind of shocked that I offered that to him. And he took it, he ate it. And then the other 2 guys he was with, I went a step further. I said, "Hey, do you guys want the last couple pieces?" And they was kind of like, "You sure?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can have them." So I think that sending them olive branches to say, "You know what, dude, what happened, but I'm not going to hold you responsible for anything that was done in the past by your forefathers. I'm going to judge you who you are today."
Right.
To be able to open up conversations to say, "Hey, let's sit down and talk." But I think that our community does need to address the resentment, mature in a way, and say, start judging men for who they are today. And maybe that can begin to change their mindset about us, because I showed them something that they probably maybe never experienced or didn't think that I was going to be that kind of an individual where I could have cursed them out. They probably was expecting that. But I was able to show them human kindness, even though you're white and I'm black. If you was a black guy and you asked me for some pizza, I probably would have did the same thing. But
and
color of your skin is not going to change who I am.
And those stories are, of course, give me hope, and of course, are a great example of doing something, right? Is reaching out, right? It's like, although I say, what I don't like about white people, and they be nosy and they always ask you, what you're doing here and expecting like an answer, and they kind of like, it's not like they're rude about it. Sometimes they are rude or they perceive to be rude, but it's more like expecting an answer, like they act, but it doesn't mean that I going to say, well, I'm not going to live around around white people if I find a house or a property or a place where there's white people, and I'm not going to do it just because of that. I'm just kind of like saying, this is what ticks me off sometimes. It's not like I'm going to like now join an Hispanic hate group against whites, right? It's not, I'm just telling you, like, it's like, and I think if we start talking about these issues in the same way as we would talk to our family and our cousins about, hey, cuz, I love you, but I don't like about you, man, when you do this, that, right? And I don't know I do that, let me correct that, right? And we could start talking to our different racial groups like we talk to our cousins and family members that we love, but sometimes they annoy us because they, sometimes they drink too much, or they will do this too much, or they do this, and then they got this thing about them, right? You could talk about it. And it's not like, oh, hey, wait, there's not like, hey, what you mean? You're not one of us. No, there's not that thing there with cousins and brothers and sisters and family and friends. They still may get offended, but it's not like, who are you? You're not one of us. You're us. So you get what I'm saying? If we start looking at us, the human race, as we all Adamites. We all one of the sons of Noah, right? And if you're going on the left side of things, you don't believe in God, okay. Scientific proves that we all come from like the same Eve, this ancient woman that lived a long time ago, and she's in Africa. She was, and she lived a long time ago, and we all come from her. All DNA, comes from this. That sounds like Eve to me. And for her to produce children, she had to do with a man. That sounds like Adam to me, right? So even on the left, you could prove that we are all come from a central location, right? I hear, race is a social construct, right? We would not be talking about race if we didn't create race, right? It's a social construct, and maybe there's some truth to that, right? But we have to start talking about these things. And I just felt the video got me upset in many ways and disappointed, and like, this is not necessary. What's going on with America? Obviously, my personal belief, I don't want to speak for every man that's going God's way, but my personal belief that Babylon is going to fall, right? And I believe America is Babylon. That's what I believe. That the Bible predicts not only the fall of America, but how it's going to fall. It gives you, signs. And one of the signs is that Babylon has become the habitation of every evil spirit, right? And maybe it doesn't, all the kumbaya talks and, pieces you give out to white men, it's not going to fix that it's not going to change that prophecy. You understand what I'm saying? So maybe, but within the fall of Babylon, as I believe it, and I could be wrong. I'm not this dogmatic anymore with biblical interpretation. This is what I believe, and I think I'm right, What say you, right? But in that madness of collapse, can we find, what can we do, right? Because should we just, give up and say, hey, America's going to fall, so let's just all hide in our cave? And one of the things that, and I spoke about this many times, that, one of the things I didn't like, or I didn't like about ISUPK, the main things, but one of the things I didn't like, I like about some things I didn't like, but one of the things I didn't like, and it was the same thing that I experienced when I joined GOCC, that we're focused too much on end time prophecy. When I was with One West, we were teaching that Christ is coming for the year 2000, so everything is collapsing. When I come with GOCC, Babylon's collapsing, the fleeing doctrine. I'm not saying the fleeing doctrine is wrong. And I'm not saying that the doctrine is wrong, but I'm just speaking as a man, it's like when we focusing too much on end time prophecy, it doesn't allow us to breathe and to calm down and could, like Esau, hunt, plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's been our downfall, that we are like right now people. The end is gonna come right now, our generation. Like we're like stuck up that way. Like we think it's all about us, this generation. It's a prophecy, bro. We're not thinking about our children's children. And maybe we have to tweak our thinking. And I'm speaking as, brothers in leadership, that maybe we have to come down with the end of the world. I know everything. I know the end of the world's coming. And I know there's prophecy every day that is confirms that. But can we just calm down? Mm-hmm. We still got to build this temple. We still got to build this house. We still got to build this nation. So that's what I'm saying. We have to kind of walk and chew on the same time. So any last words, brother? This video kind of bothered me. I wanted to just comment about it. I don't agree with Captain Tazaryach, but I do sympathize with his frustration. And he is a creation. He is a cause and effect of years of slavery and prejudice and Jim Crow. And you understand what I'm saying? Like, and it's hard to turn a black man from that hate, right? Because when you convince a black man that what he's believing is not hate, but is biblical exegesis, it's biblical doctrine, it's hard. Elder Ricard, shout out to him. He did a little conversation, somewhat similar video that someone called in about the Cornelius being an Israelite, and he believes that. And he was a cool brother. It was not, but he called in, and Elder Ricard went back and forth with him, and they had a conversation. But the whole Cornelius thing is wrapped into, there is no evidence that Cornelius was an Israelite. It's just wrapped into racism and prejudice that the black man who was defending that doctrine doesn't know that he is caught into. Like, there is no reason to believe that he's an Israelite. There's nothing within, and the we have become very good in dealing with the Hebrew and with the Greek and looking and finding a word, or, the Greek and the Hebrew, they're similar in that, like multiple other languages, they're similar in that one word could mean different things depending on the context of the sentence, the paragraph. So when you read a word, and the brother last night, he was fixated with, I don't know what was last night. What's last night? I think, Wednesday. That, and let me just show you guys real quick what I'm referring to. When, and maybe this could be also a conversation. And brother, let me bring in and brother Ricky. You could probably read for me. All right, so Acts 10, right? Where Peter said that is unlawful for a man of another, a Jew. Okay, where is it at? 34, I think it is. Phil? 28. This is Peter saying, and he said unto them, ye know how that is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or to come unto one of another nation. But God has shown me that I shall not call any man common or unclean, right? So the brother emphasized in the word other nation. Now the word other nation is this word is two words compound. So it's two words in one, right? Is from G243 and G5443. Now, this word just means other, another, right? This is the race. This is the other word, which means tribe. So let me break this down for you guys. And brother, and because he was fixated in this particular thing here, this definition. We have, when we're reading something, when we're reading a book, sometimes we go in straight into the spot that we're looking for, and we highlight what is agreeing with our doctrine. But we don't read what time this book was written, who wrote it, what was his political and religious beliefs, what method he used, what scientific method he used to come to this conclusion, right? All these backdrop. So he will just go here. And so you notice that this is the longest definition, right? In the New Testament, all the persons descendants from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob. You see? So Peter was saying that Peter was telling Cornelius, it is an unlawful thing, the man who is a Jew, to keep company with another tribe outside of Judea, of the 10 tribes. That he was dealing with the 10 tribes. The reason why that's incorrect, because although the brother pulls this out, he has to understand what he's reading. First of all, when it says here, outline of biblical usage, meaning this is an outline on the different meanings of the biblical, when the usage of this word in Bible context. The word means tribe, and it has two uses. It has use number 1 and use number 2. Use number 1 is highlighted because the way the Blue Letter Bible operates, it highlights the time when the word is used, where it's used mostly. Like, you understand? Like, so you may have like the word with the word is in Greek. The word mia, which means one, singular. Like, what car? That one. How many cars do you have? One. It means one. It could also mean first, depending how you use it, right? When you go into the definition of one, that is the longest definition because that is where it's used the most. Mm-hmm. But it also means definition number 2 is also used nation, people. So we could clearly see here, when you scroll down every single time, it says 12 tribes of Israel, tribes more on the earth. That could be anybody, but we could see argument, tribe of Jasher, tribe of Israel, tribe of Benjamin, tribe of Benjamin, tribe of Benjamin, tribe of Moses, speak, right? It gets used mostly, what's the definition? In the New Testament, all the persons descended from the 12 sons of the patriarch, Jacob. And number 2, nation, people. So, when you go to here, and then you have other definition like the other not the Blue Letter Bible, the one that Elder Ricard brought out, the Strongs. It also has kindred, because it calls them kindred. It's another word for tribe. So when you go here, so if I could find one place or two or three that it cannot be talking about the tribe of Israel, then this theory that it could only be talking about the tribe of Israel because the word another tribe or the word tribe there is only talking about another tribe of Israel. If I could find that word that was could be in what's the word? What's the actual word? The Greek word. What is it called? How it's pronounced? Fule?
Strong's G 5443. Fule.
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 Which means, right? So if I could find the word fule or the Greek word fule describing someone who is not the children of Israel, right? This whole theory will go out of pocket, right? This whole concept of that could only mean the tribe of Israel. Why? Because if we go here, let's just start, and Brother Ricky, we could start at verse 6, if you don't mind.
All right. These have power to shut heaven, that it rain not in the days of their prophecy, and have power over waters to turn them to blood, and to smite the earth with all plagues as often as they will.
Now, these two witnesses are usually credited to either be some prophets that are coming in the future. We don't know what it is. People don't know. Some people speculate. And I'm speaking slowly within the Hebrew Israelite community, because I'm addressing the brother who still believed the community was an Israelite. They believe that the branches, these two witnesses, are Jacob or Judah and Israel, the southern and northern tribe. That's the breakdown from one west, right? Now, there's some argument for that. There's some argument for another interpretation, but that's a different class, a different conversation. But I want to focus specifically that from the Hebraic perspective or the American Hebrew Israelite perspective, they believe that the two witnesses are talking about Israel, right? So let's continue. Let's pick it up at verse 7.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them.
The them is who? Israel, according to the doctrine of the one west, that the two witnesses talking about Israel, right? Because I'm speaking to this brother. Read number 8, right? If you don't mind, brother.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
And this is talking about Rome, because Rome, and we're still living in Rome, right? According to my biblical understanding. I don't know what's yours, but Christ died a Roman death. So Israel was in a Roman territory, because although Israel was allowed to kind of self-govern itself to some degree, but it was still under the authority of the Roman Empire. And he had a Roman death, not a Jewish or Israelite death. He was not stoned to death. He was stoned outside the Jerusalem walls within a Roman garrison or Roman territory. Right? So it's talking about Rome, right? So stay with me, right? Let's continue. Verse 9, excuse me. Chapter 11, verse 9.
And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half.
So this kindred here cannot be talking about the children of Israel, because it's separating. The word kindred here is the same word. It's the same Greek word. Let's see here. Where are you? Kindred. Same word.
Strong's G 5443. Fule.
So it's most of the time it's talking about somebody of the tribe of Israel, but sometimes it's talking about another nation or people. So it could mean both. It could mean both. But how do we know that this kindred was not a kindred or other kindred or another tribe or another nation? Because that word could be, it's interchangeable. Right? And there's many Greek words like that, like several words having the same meaning, and you could use it interchangeable with different parts. And language works that way. You got to get over it. Mm-hmm. You cannot be biased. But why do we know that these people cannot be, that Cornelius cannot be a northern tribesman? Because they had a conversation within the council in Jerusalem about the Gentiles that are among the Israelites. And we're probably going to do a conversation about this in regards how to combat this doctrine, because these brothers are cutting their own foot, and we need these brothers to stop, because they are hindering, and if we do not stop them, other impressionable men are going to get caught up with this damnable doctrine, because this doctrine is literally telling Israel that you're only a light to your people, but not the Gentiles, not fulfilling the prophecies. Mm-hmm. How will a Gentile will grab the skirt of a Jew prophesied in the book of Zephaniah, I believe, and say, I will go with you because I have heard God is with you. Mm-hmm. Here's a Gentile following a Jew because he heard God is with him. These guys, their hatred does not even allow them to accept what's in the Bible. Right? So it's that's why I'm passionate about this. Right? And let me go here, because we need to go here in regards when James began to speak, right? When James began to speak, he said, Simon has declared, here we go. 13, it says, and after they had held their peace, James answered and saying, men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simon has declared how God at the first did visit the Gentiles, who he's talking about who? Cornelius, to take out of him a people for his name. And this agreed the words of the prophets, as is written. Verse 16, after this would I return. He's quoting the prophet Amos here. After this, I will return and will build again the tabernacle of David, which has fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up. Now, brothers, when you see two colons after a word, what does that represents? I know you guys know this, but I want to make sure we're all on the same page. When you see two colons after a word, it represents that the words or the paragraph after is connected to the previous statement. So they're both connected. It's
a continuation.
So as a continuation, it is also given a reason why. So God will build the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and build the ruins thereof, and build again, and set it up to or for the residue of man may seek after the Lord. Like that's their purpose. God is setting up Israel so for the residue of man may seek after the Lord. And this is very important, because although the King James or the book of Acts, James was quoting the Septuagint. Okay? Mm-hmm. And we could debate why is that and so forth, so on. The Masoretic text reads a little different, but both of them are correct. Because it says, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, says the Lord, who does this, right? All these things. Now, when you go into the cross reference of this, the Gentiles that are called by my name, right? It's going to take you to Amos, right? Let's go here. Where's Amos? Where you at, Amos? It's supposed to be Amos. Probably all the way at the bottom. It's like the one you look at, they give you all this extra stuff, and it's not the one you're looking for. Where is Amos? Do they have Amos? Or maybe did I quote the right one? Hold on 2 seconds. And the Gentiles were called by my name. Isn't this is a conspiracy against the word of God? How is it they're not going to have the literal quote? Maybe I'm missing it. Amos 9, right? It's Amos 9.
Amos 9. I think that's what you're looking for. Amos 9.
Right, but the blue letter Bible is kind of, dropping the ball.
Sometimes they don't get it right.
yeah. Like, and I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I'm missing it. My eyes sometimes is not the best. Come on, you got to do better. Blue letter Bible. You're not quoting. It's not there. They're dropping the ball, right? But let's go to Amos 9 because we know where he's at. Where he's at. We're scholars, right? Amos chapter 9, I believe, starts at verse 12 or 11, right? That they may possess that in that day where I raise up the tabernacle of David, there is falling down and close the bridges thereof, and I will raise it up as ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. Same comma, see it's the same colon, right? That they may possess. Possession is rulership, right? Possession. To siege, possess, take possession of, inherit, right? It basically just takes inherit, possess, to bring to ruin, it's just a possessive, like take control of, right? Rule over. Right? Possess the remnant of Edom, and so they're not only going to possess Edom, they're going to also possess, rule over, all the Gentiles which are called by my name, thus says the Lord. So this means that Cornelius cannot be a northern tribe because James has declared how Simon visited the Gentiles to take our people for God's name is talking about Cornelius. So Cornelius cannot be a northern tribe because northern tribes are not going to be serving southern tribes. These were the Gentiles. Matter of fact, and I may be doing a conversation, a lesson about this in this Shabbat, the original converts to Gentile converts to Christianity were Gentile converts to Judaism. Let me repeat this again. The first Gentile that converted to Christianity first were Gentiles that converted to Judaism, and from Judaism, they converted to Christianity. Cornelius was a devout man who feared the Lord. If he was a devout man that feared the Lord, he was following at least the Noach laws. We're going to go into that this Saturday. And he was a devout man, and he understood the laws and the Torah because he was a convert. So we're going to go into that. But I just want to have this conversation. I know we go into different places, but I just wanted to touch on that, and Elder Ricard did a great job. I'm not saying he didn't, but I just want to hopefully that this young man doesn't, because the brother didn't have really scriptures. All he had was philosophy and brainwashed by misguided brothers that are just fixated in hating Esau. But Esau has to, understand that if more stuff like this keep happening, you're going to give Captain Tazaryach more ammunition. And I end there. Any last words, brother, before we end the show?
Brothers who have that mindset have to spiritually grow up and put away the hate, because hate is toxic, whether it's white, black, brown, yellow, green, and go back and reevaluate where that hate came, that hate came from, and look at the scriptures that clearly show from the Old Testament that the Most High is kind of putting this thing back in order from the beginning, and at least to when Noah and his children came off the boat. And Israel will be the rulership or the leadership, but you have those other nations because he cut a covenant with Noah and his sons.
Yeah.
So you cannot overlook that. But like you just pointed out, it clearly says light to the Gentiles, the remnant of the nations, because he has to fulfill those things that he, made with Noah and his children. And that includes Gentiles.
Yeah.
But they got to put away the hate and grow up.
Yeah. And this is my challenge to the Black community. This is my challenge to the white community. Let's figure out a way that white people will not find no more excuses. And this is going to take a while, maybe 10, maybe 20 years to change the perception, right? Because like you guys, like the exercise we did before, that if you have two white and a black person fighting and you're not hearing them and you are asked what you think they're arguing about, you're going to probably bring up those typical reasons. Let's fight to break away negative stereotype about each other, right? Dominicans, where we have a stereotype that we speak loud and we're very extra without, we're talking about baseball, we think we're about to go into a fight over, the Yankees or whatever, right? We're very, I had to be honest about that. So I had to kind of adjust my level of speech when I'm speaking to people, because I'm naturally come from a big family, 6 kids. If you don't talk, right? And in the same way, I could make that adjustment as a black person, as a white person. You should ask other racial groups what you think. What do you think about Dominicans? Hey, what do you think about? And just take it. I didn't know that. You don't have to get offended. You don't have to agree to it. But information is power, right? And like the Greek always seek wisdom, and we always seek a sign. But maybe we can learn from the Greeks, and the Greeks can learn from the Jews. Mm-hmm. And I believe the signs that we're talking about here is maybe Jacob and Esau needs to work that out. Is that struggle that is still going on that's the final component that need to say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Maybe that's a sign that the Greeks need to look at. But I think the Jews, we have to seek some knowledge. Like the Greeks. Mm-hmm. Pretty smart. So I end with that. Because that could be all night. This video was like, here we go again, right? It's like, more reasons for us to the devil to divide. It's like, here we go again. So we just got to pray for our people, man. That's all we could do. Brother Rick, anything you want to add before we end?
Just brothers and sisters, more so the brothers. We already got this thing going on where they calling our young brothers YNs, and it's hate. And though, if you got hate in your heart against your brother or hate against another nation, that hate will corrupt you, and you will become the very thing that you hate. That's why it's important not to go there. And then on top of that, we got to grow up and understand that, let's be honest here, we all here mad about the quote unquote white man and stuff, and I ain't saying that they right for how they treated us. But at the beginning of the day, were we not disobedient to the Most High God? And that's the reason why we got in this predicament in the first place? If we're going to be leaders and the men of the Most High God, let's take accountability and responsibility and let's lead. Because he said, cast our cares upon you. He said, vengeance is his. So I ain't saying stand back and be a punk and get beat up. Nah. But don't entice something more. when there's a way when you adapt, because Captain Tazaryach is a very intelligent man. There's a way to be savvy with your words and being able to maneuver to get your point across, and also to bring people up without causing division in order to make your point. So therefore you could bring healing at the same time bring understanding.
Yeah.
It's plenty of times that our big brother, he could have easily caused a riot. But did he do that? No. Because he was wise as a serpent, harmless as a dove. And I'm gonna leave it right there.
Well, amen to that. Well, Brother Darren, thank you, brother, for sharing your wisdom. Brother Ricky, thank you. We'll be back Saturday with a lesson. We're gonna go into a powerful lesson. Hopefully that the Holy Spirit come upon us and bring some understanding, because I think, it's important for us to remember the Sabbath, to keep it holy. And it's good to just, take that day aside to learn the word, to put out, our worldly issues and business and things, and just chill for and it's not that hard, because, half of it is night, you're mostly sleeping. The other half is day, you're reading the Bible and focus on the Most High and getting your battery charged for the week, your spiritual battery charge. So please join us this Saturday. Next Saturday, we're not going to be here. We maybe talk about it behind the scenes, brother. Maybe you guys could come on, maybe do something on Saturday, because next week is my daughter's wedding. She's getting married on Sunday, so we're gonna be driving. We're gonna be dealing with that. And if you guys, I could probably come in for a little bit, but if you guys want to do something, let me know. We could talk about it behind the scenes. For not this Saturday, the next Saturday. Okay. Yeah, so thank you, brothers and sisters, for joining me and sharing. Comment, like, subscribe, and remember, Christ is King. Shalom.